The Boston Major is about to continue. We're back in the Wang Theatre, and over the course of 2 days, we've purged what was 16 teams down to just 8. The battle to get ever closer to not only the pride, but also $3 million is continuing today. In fact, we're going to be halving it again over the course of today. It's going to get even more exciting. Professional Dota 2 players are in this very arena, and we have to recap who on earth we lost and who is going to fight on to get closer to that trophy. Let's check out how Day 2 shaped up.
Previously on the Boston Major.
Tries to find resolution. Then the Ravage comes through, but Saksa with the steal, looking for the counterplay. He finds them all! Beautiful turn by Saksa, and then the follow-up by Slow. The Tombstone doing its work. Misery forcing them back. Faceless, though, surviving through it. Black laning with the damage. The Terrorblade gets to work. It's a triple for him. It's likely to be a quad. Misery with the TP out. He won't make it. Faceless slamming the door. There's the stop to start with the disruption. Counter initiate. Now the Omni Slash dragging resolution back as they retreat out. XY already used the spell steal. He does have his own disruption available. The click from Black committed earlier. They get the Dragon Knight kill. Now they look for the turn. Trying to bring down resolution very low. Will end up falling to the Imp. Moon Meander a bit late to the party, so it ends up being a 2-for-3 exchange. And they do have a stolen disruption. It's going to be a 2-for-4. Nuts just left alone in that fight. DC ended a final dagger into the heart of Faceless fans everywhere. It will be an early exit from them, and they'll have to go back to the drawing board for their next event.
The fight, MSS roars in, global silence, the Omni Slash not enough, they focus down, the Bane, but it's not in, there goes your GA, they don't have the damage output, even with the purification of brains, that Bane's up to half-life again, MP for all their initiation have done no damage, and now we'll start losing heroes. Garda protected by that repel. It's going to last a little bit longer, getting back in range of the creep wave. The stun, keeping out the golem object with another leap up, but SVG is there for the Burrow Strike. Arrow flies up, and it'll be Lanham stunned and held. They go for a second fatal bond, and now it's MP rolling through them. They'll beat Lanham down, and it's a double kill. During the Burrow Strike fall, but they all get fatally bonded. They have to bail out. In for the jump, triple kill! He's done the work! Even the arrow to Old Chicken, it was all set up by the fatal bonds! And Ehern, together they are tethered with a glimpse back into him! They go again! SK will find the kill! He'll stun up, the Eclipse goes to work, but Luna's already down. Has a dive back for her. They'll get another one. This is the game. They've lost the DK, and P will do it. They bring down eHome 2-1 and advance themselves forward in the Boston Major.
It was a tough round one opponent for them, but they bounced back so well from that game one defeat.
There by Thug. Unfortunately, Alerna doesn't have the same kind of mobility. They're going to need to get off the BKB, but it doesn't go down. First strike comes out first, and they've already blown up the big carry of that Finem and taken down the Bane as well. BKB TP out for one, but the supports and the utility off lane won't be as lucky. Fountain once again.
They need a big combo. Sand King, Epicenter into Fatal Bonds, Warlock. That's pretty much all they can do. There is still no BKB on the Alchemist, nor...
Jump forward, there's their initiation. Immediately stops. Skylar in place with the Spike Hair base. They try and drop the Chaotic Offering, catching multiple heroes here, but Thug is right in the middle, and so these heroes, and they're dropping low. Thug, he's hit by the Eclipse, brought down as SC gets the jump onto him. And Finem going crazy inside the booth, cheering, yelling in one unified voice.
The first casualty on LGD, the epicenter coming through, bringing Arme down low. He keeps himself alive with the Infest, finally drops, he's out for 100 seconds, maybe as well. He does have buyback in the SF, Victoria buying back as well. They've got to hold this defense, but he Blade Furies hits the Ancient, and it's all over. LFY, LGD Forever Young, take game 1. He loses his life as well, and GG is called. It's all too much here for LGD's original squad, and it'll be LFY moving on as the last representative Chinese side here at the Boston Major Band.
Yeah, and it is no surprise that, like, Xiaohui's team always performing.
Quite the adventure so far, and to help me recap exactly what went down, as well as set our sights on the future and today, the quarterfinals of the Boston Major, I have a beautiful panel. Joining me, it is the desirable Fogged, it is the vivacious Toby1, and it is the radiant Shiva.
Oh.
Fogged, dude, you feeling good about this one? I mean, this is quarterfinals, this is crunch time, and it's still single limb.
This is a pretty hype game, honestly. Like, I think this is one of the bigger ones that people were kind of looking forward to, VP versus EG. Just even in the group stages, like, everybody's like, man, I wish that these two would be playing together against each other here. And now we got it. At least it's in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Kind of was hoping for it maybe in the semifinals or something, that maybe further down, but still.
But I mean,
hype.
All of these quarterfinals, this whole day, Toby, is going to be intimidating. And first of all, first time on the desk at the Boston Major. Hey, bro.
Yes. They try to keep me out for as long as possible, but
He's broke through.
Yeah, eventually. I'm like Santa in like Chronicles of Narnia. Eventually, I'll get past the White Witch.
Hey, spoilers. Oh, it has been out for a while.
That was out for a very long time.
I guess it's allowed. Yeah.
I read those books when I was like 3.
Still.
You could read when you were 3?
Pitches.
I looked at the storyboard. Anyway, Toby's joining us.
Books.
And I mean, we witnessed some serious, like, romantic storylines. At one point, Shiva, your eyes were getting a little wet.
Seeing Finem win on the big stage against a team that many have thought would do really well this Boston Major. We have Newbee. They were in Group B. They came second. Group B was the group of death. And then at Finem, a team that people thought, wow, they made it through the qualifiers, and that was a big thing already. And then making it through to the quarterfinals is amazing. It's really great to see.
Yeah, of course, alongside that, the first game, as Fogged has already hinted at, is going to be Virtus.Pro versus Evil Geniuses. To happen in a quarterfinal, the fact that EG conceded 2 to domestic complexity and then proceeded to just walk all over reigning TI champions' wings, there's a lot of excitement surrounding this game. And what it does three is, they're backstage and they want to get themselves ready and warmed up. So, without further ado, let's get our first teams on stage for our third day here in the Wang Theatre as the Boston Major continues. VP and EG meet the Boston crowd.
With a world-class player in every single position and a double majors champion as its captain, this high-powered team commands respect. Under the watchful eyes of Coach Fear, new team captain Crit has already delivered silverware to this TI winning organization. Welcome on stage, Evil Geniuses. online overlords in Europe and winners of the Summit 6. This roster has all the ingredients to become a new superpower. With Captain Solo at the helm and the explosive Carry Ramses under his command, they strike hard, fast, and their record this season speaks for itself. This new dynamic roster is rebuilding the organization's reputation as the best CIS team in the world. Welcome on stage, Virtus.Pro.
It may be an early start, but there is a whole lot of electricity and adrenaline flowing through both the stage and the crowd here in the Wang Theatre, Boston. All right, all right. Keep those vocal cords warm. As they, I don't know if you guys can hear them, but they are definitely wide awake.
Yes.
I don't know if we are though. Toby, you feeling fresh for this one?
I'm feeling fantastic.
You are?
Absolutely fantastic. Didn't sleep at all last night, but I know adrenaline's going to
We're
get me
just
through this
watching
series.
EG and VP, just like getting ready.
I don't know what's going to happen. The draft. All I could think about was heroes floating around, and eventually something's going to be picked.
Well, I mean, I want you to tell the story just a little bit, Toby, because Virtus.Pro, we were looking at, all eyes locked on them as the teams that came through the qualifier, and EG, they were probably one of the 2 or 3 in the invited teams we were expecting to see do big things.
Yeah, really expecting EG to do amazing things with their roster, not even just big things. Like, that roster is an absolutely star-studded roster, and the fact that they actually haven't had as much success as I thought they would is a real surprise to everybody. And like, it's hard to also go into this matchup saying, well, you know what, VP are definitely favorites, because you still look at the lineup and go, this EG roster, if it clicks, nothing will beat it.
But and they did 2-0 wings as well.
Yeah.
Was that it clicking, Shiva? That was it?
I think that, in combination with them losing to Complexity, I think that unleashed something in those 2 days, and Fear just said, guys, let's get serious, let's get real, and let's give it our all for the main event. And then they came in. And right now, you can do all your homework you want for EG, but you never really know what to expect. So that's, I think, the trickiest part here. Sure, they've lost some games, so you see how they lose, but I feel like they're going into it completely fresh.
I mean, let's bring up their names for you, Fog, because, I mean, this, I think you've described it in the past, is almost every single person is the best in their role.
Yeah, they're extremely consistent in their roles. I just think that, especially with like EG, when they're playing versus a team that's just they respect and they consider very good, they kick it up a notch as well. I think that's maybe a little bit of their downfall, especially versus Complexities, maybe a little bit of disrespect like we kind of mentioned, but playing versus VP, these guys are the best right now. They have to be, just because of their performance in the last 2 months. I think Wings was like a one step forward, but beating versus VP, that's like 2 steps going versus this team. It's just a little bit more, just because Wings has had their shaky moments in this recent.
So I'm sensing that you see this as a bit of a, for lack of a better expression, a litmus test. That was GCSE science. When you test the acidity, you see where EG are at, right? If they pick up this win versus VP, they can do the whole run. If not, it's going to be the Virtus.Pro story. Is this going to be a big determinant, do you think, Toby, in your mind, as who's going to be lifting the trophy, or at least who's going to be getting close?
I kind of want to say yes. At the same time, I don't really want to as well, because I really feel like I love the players coming out from the other part of the bracket. So even just winning this matchup, it's going to be great to get through into the grand finals, but you've still got to get through potentially OG or WG in the next round. And for me, I'd love to actually see like a VP versus OG. I feel like these guys actually have some of the best dynamic rotations out there. Of course, in order to get that, they both have to win their series today.
I think you know, all eyes on EG versus VP, and everybody has been hyping these teams up throughout the entire Boston Major so far. And then you got OG and DC is sneaking under the radar, and nobody's really looking at them. And we heard that Blitz, a coach of DC, said, you know, that's how we like it. We want people to underestimate us. And I kind of feel like they are also able to be on this level. They just don't have the hype behind them that these two teams playing right now have. But it's still, as Toby says, you can't count them out in any case.
Well, I mean, Virtus.Pro on the other side of things had a very different experience in their group. I mean, we looked at EG, we talked about their shortcomings. In fact, just 1 win, 2 losses for them. VP, just 2 quick wins and then a whole lot of time off, really, Shiva.
Yeah, they have... They've not lost a single game in the Boston Major, and the last game they lost was against OG, one of the playout games in at the Summit. But that was a long time ago already, and it makes me wonder that once they're figured out, how are they going to deal with that?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Like, if you remember back in the days of the old Fnatic, where they would just be undefeated, and then they'd lose one game and they'd pull out a new strength, they'd pull out a new approach to the game. And I know VP have a couple of these things just simmering on the surface, and like they can bring it in if they want to. And that's why I think actually Game 2 of this series probably going to be more exciting, because that's when things will start to change. This first series is going to be people both like just putting their toes in the water, see if it's freezing or not, and then Game 2 they'll warm up.
I can agree with that. I think the first game, though, is like, these guys were probably sitting in their rooms last night because, you know, they finished relatively early. They're probably sitting there just theory crafting the opener. The opener is going to be a big indicator in both of these teams, just because is the Alchemist going to get through? Is the Shadow Demon going to get through? Is the Luna, who's going to take the Luna? Is Batrider? Like, all these big significant heroes. They were definitely just sitting there like, all right, well... We're about 2.5 hours in, guys, to our session of discussing the first ban, and we're really not too sure if we're going to ban Wisp as well, because there's too many heroes. These guys, these two teams share an enormous amount of different.
It was actually late last night. They finally said I checked in with Lil last night, and he was like at 10 o'clock at night. He messaged me saying, "I think we've worked out what we're going to do with that draft now."
Yeah.
I think the first draft might, because of that, like, if both teams have theory crafted properly, and these are all very smart guys, so they can kind of expect what's coming from the other team. So perhaps this first draft is going to go fairly fast, where both teams are going to just pick exactly what they calculated, and then indeed Game 2 is where they adjust, and where they want to avoid, well, if you lose anyway, want to avoid what happened in the first game, or adjust to see what's coming in the next as well. So it's... Yeah, the drafts. It's all about the drafts.
I actually want to see how EG do it. Like, if EG, like, with their first 2 bans, like, if they actually want to play the SD chicken game,
who's going to get the Shadow Demon?
I mean, just because of the correlation we've seen between SD and success, I can't help but feel when you're in single elimination trying to get to the semifinals, you're not even going to want to take that gamble. We'll find out with the draft a little later on, but first, I do want to go ahead and start summoning that featured matchup, because this is an excitement. It is 2 huge names of the mid-roll, and we're going to be seeing Sumail and no one. Now, what springs to mind, Fogg, when you see these 2 names going head-to-head? Just yesterday, you were telling me Sumail does not lose his lane.
Yep, neither does no one.
Oops.
So that's why it's going to be such a good matchup. Both these 2 are, I mean, probably one of the best last hitters in the game right now. Like, we see no one, he's playing like DK versus like OD, which isn't like, you know, isn't a horrible matchup for the DK, but he's leading. Same thing with Sumail. Matchups where you just think that he isn't going to excel at, he does well. And both of them have their aggressiveness. It's just really going to depend on the supports, which one gets the rotations first. But I really want to just see these 2 duke it out, and hopefully they just do like dual lane on the side lanes, and then these 2 just battle. That's what I'm looking forward to.
You want the head-to-head?
Oh yeah.
I think those players want it too.
Yeah.
I mean, they are very proud players, and they want to show that they're the best. I know that Sumail, if he loses a mid matchup, he wants to do it again. He wants to just prove that he wins that matchup.
They're both very young too.
They're both very young. They both want to prove that they are the best in mid, and you know that's also the kind of personality you have when you're in the mid lane. You want to be the best. That's how you get there. You want to shine, and I would love to see that. I do think that the supports will have something to say about that though, because there's so much pressure on that mid matchup that the supports will come by and will help out if needed for the mid matchup.
Any other names that spring to mind then? When we're talking about who is going to have the biggest influence on this game, Sumail, I know one of the first at the tip of your tongue, but there is just, I mean, who else is springing out this roster, Sheev?
Well, Universe cannot be underestimated. He is an incredible playmaker for the team, and if he gets the right hero, and I know he hates to play Darkseer, or at least doesn't really hate it, but it's one of his least favorite heroes.
He finds it boring.
He finds it boring, but it's one of his best heroes, and when he gets a decent start in it, he will crush with that.
Now, this is such an interesting discussion for me. Is something that, so he's good at this. He is
the best.
He is one of the best.
Yes.
And yet finds it boring. Just yesterday, Winter was saying, but winning is fun. I mean, surely, come on now. There is a balance to be struck, folks.
There was a time. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
Back when I played with him, too, we would just be like, all right, we don't know what to pick. All right, picking Universe Dogs here. So I think he just got sick of playing it to an extent, but recently I've been, talking with him a bit more. He's like, I'm finding a newfound love for the hero again.
Okay.
So he does enjoy it. I mean, how could you not when you're so godly on it?
I wonder how common that is. I mean, surely, if you're so good at something, there must be extra elements of fun in there. I just don't quite understand.
It's just when you run the same kind of thing. And Darkseer can become very passive in the lane, but Universe is always one of the best Darkseers because you'll be able to get these unbelievable first bloods. Just its harassment level that he achieves. That's why it's like you kind of wish Clockwork is also going to appear in this series for Universe because it gives him a playmaker, someone that can actually initiate him. With the Darkseer right now, it's more of that supporting the fourth role when he gets played.
With all of that said, I know this is always going to be a very difficult part of the death segment, but I am going to start navigating towards the realm of predictions. Sheev.
Why do I have to go first?
Just because I want to throw you in the deep end. And you are wearing VP orange today.
It's red. What?
Oh, I've insulted her. I mean, let's look at the camera.
Looks a little orange.
It would be
a little orange.
Okay, it's a little orange, but it would be Dutch orange then in that case.
Okay, fair.
No bias here. No bias here. Although, I do have to give predictions, so in that case, I think these teams haven't played each other yet this entire season. Last time they played was in Epicenter, and that's two entirely different lineups. So nobody knows what to expect and how these two go against each other. I'm going to say Virtus.Pro, though. But, I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Yes.
Virtus.Pro orange, told you. Toby, what have you got for me and your prediction?
For me, I am definitely looking towards Virtus.Pro. I think they're going to actually take the series 2-1. EG will be the first team to actually take a game off VP. Main reason I'm leaning towards this is because I think VP is still going to have that one small little hiccup in the draft, something that EG will have prepared for them, and then it's going to come down to teamfight initiation. And we may actually have a 2-0 to VP if that teamfight is just more superior, but I think EG is going to find a small little gap to slip through and at least get one game.
Folks, you're no stranger to an EG shirt. I wonder where your prediction's going.
You know that the audience is mostly rooting for Evil Geniuses, and if you have a little bit of pressure there, Fogged.
I know. That's why I'm... Look at this. How do you guys...
Are you wanting to play with the popular kids, Fogged?
I mean, I was first. I can say that.
Both these teams, after watching them, EG is... They always say, first game of the day. They've struggled in their first game. VP as well. Last 2 months, I definitely have seen them struggle in their first game.
He's delaying. He's filling time.
But
just run it through
you
guys, Fogged.
Evil Geniuses is one of the best teams to adjust for series, and even in mid-game, so...
I'm going to go VP 2-1.
Oh!
Sorry, crowd.
Wow, yeah.
Hey, we're going to tell it like it is, Fogged.
Right then. Well, I mean, there's this artist called Designer, and he wrote a song called Panda. That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going EG all the way, Boston. That's right.
See, Suck up.
you got something right on the tip of your nose there, Machine.
Sorry, excuse me.
Right at the tip of your nose.
Excuse me.
I do think that, I would love EG to win as well, purely to see these guys right there go absolutely ham, because I know they will.
Well, it's not out of the realms of possibility. I mean, we've highlighted already that, the EG we saw in the group stage and the EG we saw in the first day of round of 16 were two very different beasts, right? I mean, like, Fogg, you were quite critical of some of the moves we saw from EG versus Complexity, then versus Wings. Defending TI champions, don't make a roster change, same damn patch, a 2-0.
Yeah, they played completely differently than the previous years. Even the early game, though, versus Complexity, they had a very solid early game. It was just like their mid-game was just like kind of falling apart. When we saw them playing versus Wings, it was completely different. They were just like in unison, playing together, not taking these individual risks, just playing as a team more as like a confined unit.
So are there any kind of clashes of playstyles when you look at VP and EG? I mean, we were kind of talking about the pace that Complexity had versus EG. That actually caught them out in that third game of the second time they played. Haven't we always said VP have got that scary CIS pace to them?
Yes. I do feel like that we saw that Evil Geniuses can adjust in the series against Wings. But at the same time, you are right, because Complexity just played a little bit faster in the series that they won against Evil Geniuses. And Virtus.Pro is very scary. But what we've also seen from Evil Geniuses is that if the lanes don't go entirely the way they want them to, they can adjust in the laning stage and just switch it up to the way that they want it. I remember a game that Evil Geniuses played against NP at the Summit, and NP had this amazing start. Lanes were amazing. First 3 minutes, everybody was saying, okay, you know, MP, they got these lanes. And then a couple of changes, the right call at the right time, and Evil Geniuses just started taking over. And I think that is something that is going to be the most important thing during the series, to be able to adjust mid-game.
I mean, this was like the hardest the one to predict. I thought the Finem one was going to be hard for me to predict, but this one just like it tore my heart to really pick one of the two.
You wish you could see the draft beforehand, because for me, like I know we're talking about the mid game that comes out from EG. I feel a lot of that is also on the back of how that mid matchup goes. We did the matchup already, saying like Sumail versus no one, but it's like what you draft and your timing of it. Like that game against Wings, like you can say okay, EG, it was really great. Like they played an Alchemist, they just played the timing out, everything was good. But VP also showcased in their matchup against IGV just how dynamic they can be. You talk about a fast-paced kind of style from Virtus.Pro. They also can slow it up. They play very, very patient. One team fight, one great positioning from solo, and they never lost the momentum. I feel like Wings actually gave a couple of opportunities for EG, not getting kills on an off lane, or moments like this, which gave EG like things they could pressure and then just punish with. VP will probably not give you the same kind of opportunities.
So I think the next kind of question and the next discussion we have to have as the draft is looming is, what are our big questions? You know, you already highlighted one. You said, will we see Shadow Demon? Not forgetting that both of these teams had Shadow Demon for their victories to get themselves to the quarterfinals. What other questions, Folk, have you got?
I have one. I've seen EG do a couple greedy styles, of course, with like the jungle Venomancer's Eye, and then just like they don't really help Sumail that much. This is my one concern, because I think solo, if he gets like his Ogre, if he gets like his Shadow Demon, one of these heroes that he likes, like Undying, he's just going to come and he's going to mess with him, and it's going to throw the rhythm off, and it's going to force a lot of rotations. When you put pressure on another team, you force reaction. Forcing reaction always puts them kind of on a back foot. So I think that's like the one thing in question to me. Is EG going to be able to just predict Solo's movement, just understand that he does tend to do it a lot of the times, but just to make sure, emphasize that, I think is going to be really important.
Yeah, I think for this series as well, IO is VP picks IO sometimes, but haven't really done it this Boston Major. Evil Geniuses, they've played what did they play? 8 to 9 games or something like that. They've played IO 5 times out of their 8 games. That is crazy. That is a crazy amount. They played on both Psy and Crit. They both had it, and that is something that I hope it's going to get banned, but if you're banning out IO, that means you're going to make other decisions, let other heroes through, let the Bat Riders through, let Shadow Demon through, depending on who has first pick. I mean, again, we come back to this. The draft is going to be so important.
I actually almost wish that in the first 4, we take out IO, Alchemist, SD, and Bat Rider.
Yes.
And then we have ourselves such an interesting series coming up.
Hey, we might see those banned.
We may.
But then the Ramses Lifestealer gets through.
Hey, that's 2 out of 4.
That's 2 out of 4.
Let's get it going.
2 out of 4. Goodbye, Shadow Demon. VP were having none of that.
The crowd's having all of that too. They're like, yes, don't want to see Shadow Demon. No more illusions.
No more illusions.
It's such a pain. Like, you can't run a Luna, you can't run an Alchemist. These things just turn against you every time.
Virtus.Pro is one of the teams that actually picks Shadow Demon without the Luna. Picks Luna without the Shadow Demon as well.
That's true.
There we go.
So the Drow ban. So we are going to see something coming through. Something's going to be coming through.
Now, Evil Geniuses have a pretty bad track record against Alchemist. They love picking it, and they do really well with it. But I don't think Alchemist is that much of a Virtus.Pro hero. It's not really aggressive enough for them. Am I wrong in saying that?
I could agree, but they would just... I think they would pick it in a situation where they have like something like a Slardar Darkseer and something else, like just to be able to fight 4 versus 5 away from the Alchemist. I think that it still fits their playstyle, but it's not like 100% them. It's probably like just a little bit different.
Yeah, maybe also the 9 pick. And there's the Ogre. That means we have got Alchemist and IO still in the pool.
They take the Wisp, yeah, for sure. This is probably the more contested hero. Shadow Demon, Slardar Lifestealer. Bam, instant opener.
I love how quick that was. This is what you were talking about,
Toby. Super theory crafted. Both these teams were just like, okay, if they pick, like, their VP was probably just like, if they pick Wisp, this is exactly what we're going to. They probably discussed this so much last night. They even, I mean, no one even in the interview said, don't give us this Slardar Lifestealer. So...
At the same time, EG should have been able to prepare for this as well. We know what VP are going to draft. Like the Lifestealer, the DK, the Darkseer, the Slardar. These are like 4 of their biggest picked heroes. And EG, you get the IO. Okay, this is the trade-off you have. And a Treant Protector as well. Okay, they're keeping themselves very secret.
Leaving both, I mean, they already picked up both their supports, though.
And fairly passive supports for the early stages of the game. Sure, IO can help out mid a lot, but at the same time, the lanes are not going to be Well, the only reason they would be strong is because the Treant protects their living armor, but that is kind of all. They are low on disables.
But Tree's really fantastic against Lifesteal. That's the one big thing. If you can get levels up on Treant Protector, he works in 2 ways against the way Ramses plays Lifestealer, because Ramses likes to chip away at that tier 1 tower on the bot.
Yeah.
And then the Treant Protector stops this. So he can't just like rage and take the tower, then TP out. That's what Ramses has always been doing with his Lifestealer. And it's what IGV actually stole them up with too when they went for this Witch Doctor and Treant Protector against them.
Yeah, I like the Tree versus Lifesteal too, because it puts him on a position where if you get rooted, you have to rage there. And if you're already raged, you're just stuck in it. You force him to get an item which isn't really the most optimal.
Like
Ramses does do the Manta style, which it ends up working out because he usually goes with the standard Armlet, Echo Saber, Deso into the Manta, or maybe switching out the Echo Saber for the Manta between there. So it does put him on a little bit of a different edge. But also, oh man, I had something, but whatever. Yeah, so I was going to say the EG is probably going to look to be banning the Darkseer, obviously because the Slardar Darkseer combo that VP loves to run, since, you know, the support Slardar, you just give him a lot more potential, and the DK. I think those are the 2 big ones that EG should be looking to ban out.
Of course, we did highlight beforehand when we were talking about Lifestealer in general, one of the least successful picks to actual wins throughout the group stage, but the one person who broke that rule was Ramses on his Lifestealer.
It was even Sir Action Slacks that asked on stage to Ramses afterwards, like, if you pick your Lifestealer, like how much do you feel like you've already won? It's like, yeah, we win with that. No worries, every single time.
I like both these bands, Sven and Alchemist. The Sven, obviously, the armor, the Warcry versus the Slardar is very good. It's a very good Wisp partner, and the Alchemist, I mean, yeah. Don't need to say much about that one.
Yeah, we know about that.
That's all that matters. And it's interesting that that the Darkseer is banned out there. Sure, Nampasha is great on that hero, but I mean, Sand King is still in the pool as well.
I think it just enables too much, like the Wombo combo. You know, the vacuum into Slaughter Stun. VP's been landing like 3 to 4 man vacuum combos with that, with the burst potential from the Lifestealer. It's just really difficult to handle. It's like, okay, we come out in the lane phases, and then these 2 melee cores are just running at us with Ion Shell. It's too much just increase.
And they move so quickly, like Slaughter Sprint, then you add Surge as well. Like the ability for VP to initiate before you even get high levels on the Ion Shell is just too good. But Virtus.Pro, so the Lil Weaver.
Well, we say that. We could also have Nampasha Weaver.
That is true.
It is a little bit of both. We've seen it both before, and we've seen yesterday how many teams love Weaver now.
You know, it's actually kind of cool too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
go
there,
ahead.
but the Weaver, you can do some like things that you wouldn't really think about, like infested Weaver early on in the game. That's like a shuttle, and you don't really need a blink tag or anything, and you can get straight to the back line. What does Wisp want to do? He wants to stay in the back. He doesn't want to get focused down so heavy. Weaver enables that super hard. Wisp also has like 0 armor, so the bugs from the Weaver are extremely detrimental to that as well. So it's a very interesting pickup here for sure, and more minus armor. They already like to build a Desolator on the Lifestealer, amplified damage from Slardar, and then the Weaver, of course, building the Blightstone medallion, all that massive minus armor. You said you wanted to see some clockwork, and there you go.
I got my wish. It's Universe having the ability to make plays. He also has a lot of survivability thanks to the help of the Tree and Protect, but I'm worried that EG's laning phase is just a little too passive against VP. And also, if it comes online early enough, the Clockwork gets a lot of space if he's able to like move up and be aggressive. So if you get a good couple of like Cog Burns on the Lifestealer, you bring down his mana, you might have a better chance in the lane, because then you don't have like that Rage and Open Wound slowdown, which would potentially find you in death.
DK, kind of expected, especially versus Tree. Like, you can just be able to force down a tower before the Living Armor comes out. It's very good versus the Living Armor on heroes as well, and I mean, this is just a VP staple, especially when they have the Slardar and the Lifestealer.
Evil Genius's draft I like it because it doesn't need anything specific. You need levels, and you're going to get levels no matter what. In terms of farm, sure, you have some core items that you'd want, but you're not useless without them should the lanes not go well. So far, indeed, I agree with Toby, though. It's slightly on the passive side, but perhaps these last 2
So what
picks.
counterbalances that? That's what I'm saying. Like, what is going to be the...
You need big playmakers. You need some Mal that can actually set the tempo.
We still have OD in the pool?
And...
I'd
be worried about the OD primarily because once the BKBs are up, he's not going to control anything, and he's not quick enough damage to capitalize. I could almost prefer to see something more like, it's not even Templar Assassin, he matches poorly against the DK. but something that Sumail can find a kill and quickly move on to somebody else. That's always the issue when VP runs such a lineup. It's so many like heavy strength heroes, then the Weaver with time-lapse. You commit the damage, you commit for a kill, but sustain doesn't do it. You have to instantly find that murder.
Great Wisp combo, great pairing versus Lifestealer, and great pairing versus Lifestealer and versus Dragon Knight.
And early aggression.
And early aggression, exactly. And they're dire, so it gives them the Roche potential. Maybe even some level 1 Roche. Doubt it, but...
Yeah. Not worth as much. They could do it with just the 2, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what do we look forward to seeing here from Virtus.Pro? We lack
Disruptor is where my head's heading on this.
It is already banned.
That's the problem then.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses saw that possibility too.
You think maybe EG goes back for something like a Naga Siren, since this is similar to what they ran in the group stages with the Ursa Naga? Ursa just kind of like making space all over the place while the Naga just becomes this like huge detrimental force, because that would give them the late game.
Don't you lose the game in the end though, because you still can't push high ground?
Like, that is
until
absolutely
you start
the problem.
murdering all of VP, the Naga's just going to be... like, it's what Pyrian hates. Well, we'll play this game out to like 50, 60 minutes, and then the result is still the same. I mean,
this was, let's not forget, if they do go Naga, that was where the only victory versus complexity in that last game for Seeds in the group stage did get the win for EG.
Would definitely give them a lack of building hitters. So maybe something more like an Invoker, but that takes so long to come online, and you're so susceptible to getting blown up.
Speaking of building hitters, imagine if VP also try and combo this with something like a Jakiro. Insanely tanky lineup. You've then got nice control. Lane pressure is pretty good, and your ability to force down buildings with both the DK tick and Jakiro tick.
Yeah, they need more control for that Ursa. Yeah. That is what Virtus.Pro will look for with their last support pickup, which is probably going to be Solo. By the way, Solo has all his heroes banned out, apart from the Witch Doctor of the heroes that he actually played this major so far. And it is Sumail's Storm Spirit, something with a high tempo initiation possibility there. That gets removed by Virtus.Pro.
Witch Doctor wouldn't be too bad. Getting his ulti off in a fight would be difficult, but he's a good counter against the Io and Ursa. But they banned the Storm Spirit out from VP, so there's that playmaker that EG could have used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think the Witch Doctor, maybe even like a Rubik, just some hard 5, because they obviously, the approach that they have is they want this Weaver to be able to scale, and they want to be able to have their push timings.
Do you feel like Witch Doctor would give enough control over... Oh, hello, Morphling.
So Morphling, okay. So they go... That's a different super late game hero. With the Wisp pair up, it enables him to be even stronger. Of course, with Living Armor makes him even more powerful, but it's not this like 60-minute thing where we can't push buildings. Morphling can actually just like force towers down and split push super heavily.
Perhaps EG were inspired by Finem yesterday. Good to see a big Morphling there.
I would not be surprised. And then again, the Morphling is one of the heroes that they actually didn't do that well with at the Summit.
It's kind of smart now. You kind of think that they were already deciding on the Morphling when you see that Disruptor ban beforehand on the 4th ban. Maybe they were just kind of prepping for it in the later stages. So that's a really cool approach that EG took to guarantee themselves a nice Morphling pickup.
I'm still concerned about EG's draft coming online a little bit too late. And like what they're going to match up. Like when EG's ready to fight, VP's going to have a lot of farm on their DK, on their Lifestealer. You may have like armlets both on these guys. Even we might find farm, and now you get an Ancient Apparition at the end.
So not a whole lot of... They have like the Slardar and everything for the lockdown and the DK, but this is very good versus the Morphling. But the mid lane, Wisp Ursa running at a DK, I feel like he's going to struggle quite a bit.
He will definitely struggle. I also still feel that Virtus.Pro has got a lineup that they're very comfortable with. If EG can beat this lineup, they are going to force Virtus.Pro to play differently for the first time that they've ever been forced to do that in this major.
Man, oh man, this has been one of the most hotly anticipated games of the Boston Major so far. One of the teams between Virtus.Pro and EG is going home. Our panel was a little split. Looks like they're expecting to see big things from VP. I don't know if that's changed from the draft.
Not for now.
Not
so far,
for
this
now.
is their comfort zone.
Everyone's going to be nibbling their nails, and we're going to be jumping into our first game of our day here in the Wang Theatre. Let's get into it, though. It's EG, VP, and your casters are none other than Gods and OD.
Thank you very much, Alex. We're here in the theatre getting ready for the first series of the day. Evil Geniuses, Virtus.Pro, and one of the most hotly contested matchups we could have expected to see here at the Boston Major. The game is beginning. We'll be able to hit ourselves into the map, but Gods, what's going on here? VP sneaking in this final counter pick of the Ancient Apparition. It's an absolute nightmare for some of EG's heroes. Is it going to be enough?
It's one of those crazy things where you think you've kind of seen most of what VP like to do, and then they bust out a different hero for solo in the 5 position. It's weird that the 5 position is the hero to talk about, but it's such a good hero to counter the healing of the Io, the Treant, the Morphling, when he's trying to morph strength if he gets ganked. Very good pick, but EG have a good plan. They've got very defensive lanes. They've got an Ursa who can kind of control the game in Sumail. It's a very good matchup mid for him with the Ursa versus Dragon Knight. And Arteezy, despite the fact there's an AA in the game, this is a great Morphling game. There's so many good ways he can split push, kind of just farm up. He shouldn't really be contested too much in the lane. This was a great pick for Evil Geniuses, even with the AA there.
I mean, with these heroes, who's going to start to up the tempo first? If you're EG, do you have to be very worried about this slider, getting that Blink Dagger timing and starting to move Ramses around the map, jumping in on some VG's cores, which potentially 15-minute or so mark in aren't going to be quite at the position they need to be in terms of being ready to fight back against VP's aggression?
Yeah, the first few moves could come from EG after the lane stage when they hit level 6 on Universe on the Clockwork with like a Face Boots Ursa and a Clockwork 6. They can get kind of aggressive, but around that, the real plays are going to come from the Slider Blink. Slider gets Blink, and that's where EG are going to be playing more on the defensive. They've got the heroes to do it with. They can IO Tether save people. They've got the Tree and Armor. They've got the Overgrowth to control the Lifestealer. They're going to be the more reactionary team come mid-game time.
So as you mentioned, this mid lane matchup, Sumail certainly going to have the edge in terms of hero versus hero, and especially with the backup of Zai hanging around on the IO. How does no one deal with this? Is he kind of expected to hold his own, or are we going to see VP look to help him out in the early stages?
It's a tough hero to really help out. You want to give DK that solo XP as much as possible, so he'll probably just struggle a bit on CS, but he's gone for a Windlace Stout Shield, going very defensive with his items, getting the movement speed to be able to kind of get away from the Ursa when he needs to, but still a tough matchup. Even with the Windlace, he's still equal on movement speed with the Ursa, and that's before the Tether. Once that Tether comes in, Ursa can chase him down.
You can see at the top lane, Pasha heading forward and trading blows with Crit and trying to force Artur back. CS-wise, Arteezy having a fine old time in the first minute. Easy 4 for 3 at the moment. Then back over on VP's side of the map on the safe lane for Ramses. 2-0 at the moment, so he seems to have a little bit of a harder time, but he's got a good wave pushing in now. The Universe has just been trying his best to control the lane up, and he's already got that sentry down as well, and already moving across, seeing if he can find the supports, just keep eyes on them, and start to play around a little bit with VP.
Yeah, it's a nice little pull through from Lil, getting the creep wave away from Universe. He doesn't want to go too aggressive contesting it because it is a soon to be level 2 Weaver. Once he's got Swarm as well as Shikuchi, if you get in too close, they can easily chase you one down if you mess up with your cogs.
Mid lane, I mean, he's got the Fairy Fire, but one more swipe will do it, but he's juked him out! He's only going to juke him out with the Salve. It will be cancelled there, I believe, by the range creep or such, but no one able to keep his life intact. One touch away from being brought down by the Fuzzy Wuzzy.
Yeah, nice little juke there from no one, but he's still in kind of tough times. He's only got 350 gold as a mid-Dragon Knight, sitting on low HP. And as it is, he's gone for a second point in Dragon Blood just to try and help salvage this lane a bit. Lil.
I mean, it's Lil's support. I mean, you can't expect anything less from this man. Already coming in, sniping the courier 2.5 minutes or so in. Nothing on it.
That really saves the DK's early game. You don't have to worry about Ursa getting a bottle out early or a phase boot, and no one suddenly goes from having 360 gold to having almost enough money for a bottle. He's up to 600, so just 1 or 2 CS away from being able to pick up a bottle in that mid lane. That actually goes for the boots, but either way, it gives him that little bit of a gold boost that really salvages the fact he was getting beaten in this mid lane.
Top lane as well. Looking at Pasha's offlane plays, he's getting the CS and he is getting the levels. It seems that because you have Zai kind of mainly looking towards the bottom lane, Pasha, he's able to find quite a bit from this offlane.
Yeah, he's not really getting zoned out all too much. The Treant alone has very high right-click damage, but Pasha's able just to use his level 2 sprint to kind of cut around. They're getting a bit aggressive now, but realistically, they're just looking to zone Pasha, not actually go a kill.
Just trading blows at the moment. Back over to the safe lane of VP. Ramses 21 for 4. At the start, we saw Universe trying his best to slow down the farm, but Universe, similar to Gunner Pasha, isn't really slowing down the safe laners as much. But Universe is finding farm. He's 8 for 4. He's hitting level 4. So as well, this looks to be on par for a good timing for that level 6, which, as you mentioned, is going to be pretty crucial for EG to step up the play before Slider hits that blink timing.
Yeah, they can make some moves. Like the Dragon Knight at mid lane becomes in a very vulnerable position when Clockwork's level 6. We've seen a lot of these teams who will rotate their offlaner towards that mid lane. We saw Dragon Knights struggle a bit yesterday in some of the games. They can fall behind very quickly if they get ganked once or twice.
Ooh, and here we have a bit of trouble around the bottom room. Zai tried to nab it. He's not going to get it. It's going to be VP that turned that around into the face of Zai. Get Lil that first blood, and if there's one thing we've come to learn from watching VP games, if Lil starts to get kills early on, we're going to see this quick medallion and such, and it's an absolute nightmare to deal with a support Weaver if he gets this early farm.
That's such a good rotation from Dragon Knight. He doesn't have a bottle. I imagine Zai's not expecting to be there because he has no bottle. Why would he go for that move?
And mid lane Pasha It's coming for the early rotation. Zai is there, so it's going to make it pretty hard for VP to find anything out the back of this. In fact, Lil in trouble. Positive verifier. It's not enough. Sumail and Zai outsmarting VP. We've seen them try for this time and time and again, VP. Whenever they play the slider on the offlane, they always rotate Pasha in before he hits 6, try and catch the mid lane off guard. But it's so much harder to do with the ward down, with Zai in position. It's a tricky move and it gets punished.
Yeah, and EG have the defensive options. They have the IO who can get back. They were hoping that they could do that perhaps before the IO respawn, but he was ready to.
Pasha kind of baiting Arteezy here in, and he's going to be fine there. A little bit of a bait and switch, but Arteezy will be A-okay.
The double Wraith Band doing so much damage from Weaver. Lil may force Arteezy kind of back to Fountain here, or perhaps at least something like a Salve to be ferried out.
And also pressure being put up top, and at the moment Arteezy has been left on his own. Zai eyes towards the bottom. Now Crit's going to return to lane, and Salve is there ready for Artur, getting him back into fighting position to continue this farm game. CS-wise, as we can see, still that mid lane. I mean, the CS difference is absolutely huge. Sumail 41 for 17 against no one's 14 for 0. No one, again, constantly being threatened to Sumail, just dominating this mid lane.
Yeah, this is what EG like to do. Set Sumail up for success. He's going in aggressive for a kill here.
And Lil is there to kind of offer a bit of backup. A quick turn towards Lil, punching him down. Zai. He's come across to back up Sumail. Lil's actually just going to focus down the IO, and Zai's in trouble. No one with the brief fire picks up the IO kill.
A lot of heroes converging on the mid lane for VP, so the IO kill's a bit rough. Zai obviously being the target of a lot of aggression first at the bottom rune, now there, but realistically it's Ursa's continuing to put DK under pressure. Ursa's kind of kept alive there, so it's not the end of the world, and Ursa with an invis rune could threaten no one's life here. No mana for a stun this time.
Yeah, and with Zai coming across as well for the extra chase potential, no one will be taken down. So as soon as they lose Zai, as soon as he's back, he's ready for vengeance. And they'll get that kill, bringing it to 2-2 on the board.
Yeah, things coming together really nicely for EG on their 2 corals. And these are 2 players that have to have a good game. You've drafted defensive supports in IO and Tree, and you're running a kind of enabling offlaner.
Artur should be fine here with the waveform.
Yeah, their draft does not really make space for either Arteezy or Sumail to have a bad game. Both of these players need to do well. For VP, a Dragon Knight who's strong in the mid game, they can work around that. They're still going to hit their timing, where Slider has a blink. They've got a Lifestealer who can come out. Lil's getting decent farm on the support Weaver. They're not reliant on the DK having a good early game. So VP, they're still in a position to make their draft work, but similarly, EG have gotten what they needed out of the early game.
Well, with this lead that the Sumail has had on the Ursa, can we expect them to try for an early Roshan, trying to kind of sneak that past VP's eyes before the big ults come online in terms of solo getting the Ice Blast? Is that going to be possible for EG, or is it too risky?
Yeah, they'd love to. It's maybe going to be perhaps easier if they just get a kill rather than try and sneak it. Put yourself in a situation where VP cannot contest it.
He's got the hook shot here, has got the initial stun, and with the Patriot Lil can't seemingly cast anything. And EG, with that rotation, as you mentioned, as soon as Uni hits 6, he's across the map looking for any sort of opening.
Yep, he'll be hunting some of these easier kills, even getting kills onto the AA. You mentioned the Ice Blast, how big it can be as far as contesting a Roshan. Every single hookshot should be getting used at this point. Uni's not going to be looking to find a lane to sit and farm in. He wants to farm heroes with his team, and that's exactly what he's already done once. So good start for him with his first rotation, and EG still looking good. Sumail's got, Mask of Madness, so Roche is very easy for him to take down now, and also just the aggressive potential of this hero. DK cannot go in this mid lane. He's actually vacated to go jungle as a Dragon Knight. This is really rough for no one. It's kind of getting to that point where we talked about it doesn't matter too much if DK is a bad game, but this is turning into like a really bad game for DK.
We can see with the warding as well, VP at the moment do have this ops in the jungle and also by the Roche pit, so they've got pretty good intel if EG do start to make an attempt towards the Roche. Somehow come down into the nearby region or such with Zai as the backup. Maybe look at a bit of pressure on this bottom lane, push this out, get a bit more map control around this Roshan pit.
Yeah, and you push it out, you set the Trine up to heal up the tower. That's one of the beauties of this hero. Often VP is a team that wants to be able to take those early couple of towers to kind of get the ball rolling, that VP steamroll, but you get that Howard down to half and then suddenly it's healed back up, it gets that much more difficult to actually break, and they're going to actually have to invest more heroes and more resources to take down towers. Bring in the DK with an ultimate, make sure the Lifestealer has an armlet and they're fully committed for the tower with perhaps even Weaver with the Blightstone. They're going to have to just use more heroes to push towers that would normally fall without the DK rotation.
And ideally, of course, before the Roche, a kill would be nice. It looks like with this smoke, are they going to head straight in or try and find a pick-off first? Samel just checks the area out, and he's going to go for it. He's got the backup of Universe and Zai just outside the pit. Hook shots at the ready.
Oh, he scouts the smoke, Lil.
Yeah, we'll spot Zai in the neighborhood. Not towards the side of Roshan, but now they'll know he's there now indeed. So Samel has to be a little careful about how he goes about this. He does still have the backup, though. So feeling confident, he stands his ground.
Yeah, this is almost impossible to stop. They could try and snipe.
They don't have Ice Blast. Solo's still sitting at level 5. No one's going to lead him with the Dragon Tail, but immediately Universe coming in with a hook shot onto Solo on the backlines. Ramsey's coming across as well, take down the cogs. Looks towards Universe, but Universe is already TP'd out. And at the end of the day, it's EG getting the Roshan, getting the Aegis, and getting out of there, and it only cost them Crit's life.
Yeah. Perfectly acceptable there. I mean, the tree, it's one of those games where playing a support this game is not going to be a lot of fun for the EG supports, but their job is to enable these cores. Sumail gets himself the Aegis with the help of the IO tether. It does open up VP to take a tier 1, so I feel like VP, it's a Roshan they didn't need to contest, but this is a tower they need to take.
EG want to fight this by looks of it as well. Sumail is looking about coming forward. Dragon Tail for no one, and now moving in. Patchy tries for the crush, isn't going to connect, so Sumail is not going to even lose his Aegis here on this play down bottom.
He's almost showing they want to go back in now that Enrage has come off cooldown, but VP have already vacated this bottom lane. Gives some nice needed gold the way of that Dragon Knight. It was Morphling, though, who gets a tower trade. That was Arteezy taking the mid-tier 1 tower, not the safe lane tower I was expecting him to push. This is a much more important objective to take. A lot of access points on the map, being able to go into that Radiant jungle now through the mid lane, and also just taking away a nice little TP location very central for the VP side makes that an important play for Arteezy to make.
I mean, for VP now, do you feel the priority is going to be just getting that Blink Dagger for Pasha done? They need to have some sort of jump to enable Ramses to start these fights. They do have level 6 now up on Solo. I mean, with that combo, they can blow up a fair few of EG's members.
It's whether or not they can wait that long, because Pasha's not all too close for it. They may feel they need to make like a Infest play before then, using like an Infest into the Weaver, or even like just getting Dragon Knight involved, go for a smoke play. There's a very deep Dire Ward that spotted numerous heroes TPing around the mid lane. It looks like VP are going to look to just kind of 5-man and brute force some of these towers. They've got the DK ultimate. There's a lot of armor on the Dragon Knight now with the Dragon Blood and the Helm of Iron Will. They feel confident that they can force EG to make a response, and Ursa's not a good hero to really defend towers with. Same thing for the Morphling. He doesn't have the items. He's going to be looking for the split push play.
Arteezy just working down the tier 1 up top. Crit on in mid at the moment with the living armor. Does have Universe in the neighborhood as well. Hook shot at the ready. So if EG want to jump, they certainly can try for it. Arteezy yet to join. VP. Looks like they're on the verge of finishing off this tier 1. And Universe straight underneath this ward, but he's going to jump in Solo with the Ice Blast immediately onto Sumail. Sumail tried to chop down one, but Lifestealer jumps inside no one. Sumail just turns towards the DK, takes him down instead. They'll lose the Aegis and they will lose Zai, but they find the kill, not only just onto no one, but to Basher as well. And Sumail, he's not done yet. He's looking for Ramses. Ramses over the phase boot, seems to be a little too speedy, slows down Sumail with the upper wounds, but Zai, he's come in, he's backing up Sumail, he's relocated across to enable Sumail to find the kill. And EG there, holding on to the mid-tier 1, taking 3 big kills, all 3 cores of VP being knocked to the ground.
They just waited and waited. Sumail farming an Ancient Camp just to finish that Blink Dagger so he could make sure he got a great jump off. Ramsey's made the perfect play. We'll see it again here. He instantly realizes he's in trouble, and then he gets the Infest to get himself out of there. He gets into the Dragon Knight. That saves his life, but problem is Dragon Knight's going down as well. Sumail at this point is just too strong and able to take out too many heroes in these kind of fights.
And just the chase down, and of course that little sweet play from Zai, buying back, relocating in to just block Ramsey. He did not expect it. Up to the high ground. Zai's there with the buyback, relocate, and just that little bit of a slowdown, allowing Sumail, once his blink comes back off cooldown, to jump in and finish off that big old kill of the Ramsey's Lifestealer.
That was a big sigh, almost of
very
concern.
big sigh from Solo.
He sounds almost a bit worried there. Has hit level 6, the Ice Blast coming online, throws the first one at Arteezy, who waveforms away from a Weaver to not get himself caught out there. We'll see Zai and what he's done. 100% kill participation so far in this game. He has been kind of the linchpin. He's pulled together this EG strategy. He's enabled the Ursa to do as well as he had in the mid lane. He's been the one who's helped chase down those kills, as we just saw with the buyback like that. So definitely don't look at the fact Zai is 100% of their deaths as well. It's been his involvement and what he's done elsewhere for the CG squad.
And we'll see if VP do try and attempt for that mid-tier one again anytime soon.
It's full HP. That was down to it was like 103 HP, and now it's full. This is the problem. If you don't get that tower, suddenly you've got to, once again, invest all 5 heroes for a fight that you just lost that 5v5 fight. So I don't think you'll be too inclined to go for it again. And next time you take that fight, Morphling, yeah, he's got a Lincoln Sphere. 14 minutes 50, Arteezy is good to go. Bit slower than you sometimes see, but that's because he's got all these other small items. He's got the Treads, he's got a Blightstone, Quelling Blade, even the Magic Wand. He's gone for all these items to make sure he has the best possible early game.
And the EG coming across here, 4 in towards the Radiant jungle. At the moment, Ramses is on his own behind that tier 1 down bottom, and Uni's found him. Ramses was trying to TP out, but Universe got the vision.
He can't TP now.
He's on his own. He needs members to come over and help him, and they will head over. But as we can see, oh my goodness, just Universe with the sense of mind to check that out, cancel the TP, and cause VP again to just have to play around EG.
Top. He's found Pasha.
Pasha, he's very, very close to his Blink Dagger as well. That's a big kill as we're talking about. VP need Pasha to hit that Blink Dagger timing, being knocked back about 300 gold there. And crit, eyes on Ramses. Does have backup in the neighborhood. Universe doesn't have a hook shot though. But they're bringing over Sumail and Zai. Ramses in a lot of trouble here. He's going to be jumped on immediately, trying to rage and run, but crits there with the ult, holding the Life Stealer in place. And at 8-4, 16 minutes in, Sumail and Arteezy top of the net worth, but it's starting to look very, very grim for VP in this opening section of the game.
He may not be the elusive, annoying hero that the Bounty Hunter is, but Crit is reminding me a lot of what we saw yesterday from MNT on the Bounty Hunter, just constantly scouting through this Radiant jungle, finding the kills and getting the map information for his team. The dire vision right now is insane. A deep lane ward at top, at mid, in the Radiant jungle. EG see everything thanks to this Treant Protector, giving them all the info. And then he calls his team in. He finds a life steal. He says, team, come and get him, forces rage. As soon as he rages, he pops the overgrowth. This Treant pick completely disabling Ramses in this game.
And Pasha, 100 away from that Blink Dagger. And yeah, no one actually going to let him have the creep there to make sure he does get his way towards that Blink, the ever crucial item that Virtus.Pro have been waiting upon.
They have to do a lot with it.
They really do. I mean, Arteezy, he's had all the space in the world.
Yeah, they are behind right now by a big margin. They can't take towers. Normally, this is a VP team who, if not for the Treant, would have taken at least a couple towers and not care they're behind on kills, but they haven't had that gold injection because of it. And this Treant Protector is keeping the towers alive, is keeping the vision game up. He is doing absolutely everything to make sure that these EG carries can farm and just find the kills.
VP, and we'll find the space to find a tower. Just require the 4 of them to push out. Meanwhile, pressure's being put onto their tier 2 on the mid lane from Arteezy. They are ready to fight though, smoked up.
EG should expect the Blink Dagger to be online at this
Here's the
point.
reveal. Pasha jumping in. Can they blow down Arteezy with the Ice Blast coming in as well? They should make a good job, but he gets the chance to replicate out. And I think he's all right in the health department, that the Ice Blast is not going to bring him down. So Artur will walk that one off, and that's the Blink reveal done. And it didn't find that crucial kill. They're still trying to play around this Universe. Holding onto the hook shot, comes across, disrupting the side of the fight here. Sumail trying to move in onto Ramses. Ramses raging, but Ramses, he has to run. Held in place by the root. Crit with the control of this team fight. Solo now being focused by Sumail. Artur comes across with the nuke to blow him down. Sumail finds the triple. They're taken down 4. Zai, he's chasing down Pasha. This IO with big old balls. 12-4 EG. I mean, it really feels like VP just haven't woken up this morning because Evil Geniuses are just 2 steps ahead.
They almost felt like a VP team that looked almost broken by EG. The way they just chased after they used a lot to reveal the Blink and not kill Arteezy, and then they still chased up into the high ground. EG had the high ground advantage there, were ready for them. Arteezy wasn't that far off, he just had to walk his way back to the fight from bottom lane, and
I mean, the amount that they're grouped up. You know, Universe comes in, he does get Dragon Tail, but just with the cogs controlling Lil and no one. Crit with a huge overgrowth there, holding him in place. Yeah. And they've actually just caught it. They've actually just caught it. Ramses is out. Oh, I can't believe it. If you told me game 1 of today was going to end within 16 minutes, I would not have believed you. But Evil Geniuses was what I think was the quickest win we've seen on the main stage here so far.
I'm speechless. This is the VP team that people talked about, hyped up as being this behemoth of a team.
Wow.
So hard to beat, so hard to figure out. EG, they figured them out here in game 1. You've got to hope if you're in VP's shoes, they've got a plan B.
You really, really have. I mean, we sometimes talk about these sort of GGs that come tentatively early in the sense that game 1 of the best of 3, if you're VP, maybe it's better to just kind of wipe the slate clean. Don't mess around in a game where you're already so far behind. Get your head clear for game 2, because they're certainly going to need to.
I think it's okay they GG out when they do, but that was such... I mean, you got to talk about EG when it comes to that game. 9-0 on Sumail's Ursa. Arteezy didn't even have to get involved. That's how good this strategy is, how well they played around the Ursa and Clockwork, finding all those pickoffs. The fact that they never even had to use their backup plan, the plan B, which was the Morphling to kind of come online. EG just destroying VP. They read every movement.
Really, a less than 20-minute victory. Absolutely incredible stuff from Evil Geniuses. We'll be able to bring in the panel. I mean, they must have had to rush back to their seats off the back of that one. I don't think you were expecting it that quick, Alex, were you?
I'm unfit, Odie. I am. I'm actually out of breath.
Yeah, me too.
two flights of stairs. Was 90 minutes probably close to the quickest game we've seen in the Boston Major? I mean, that was swift.
I think, well, definitely here in the main event.
Main event, there was one faster in the group stage, but that was brutal.
I don't think anyone would have expected that for VP-EG.
No, not that short, at least.
If you expect it, you expect it the other way. Because VP is a team that can steamroll and put together these drafts that win games incredibly fast, but you wouldn't expect it from EG.
Not to win in this style, but absolutely fantastic style, and you've got to feel worried for VP coming into game 2 after that.
Yeah, we'll be back with you to see what VP do return with. Thank you very much. That is Gods and OD. Hello, panel.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
What's just happened? 19 minutes, I barely had my breakfast in my mouth, and already we're back here on the panel. EG just destroying. Fogged.
Said they kind of needed to have a play in case Solo makes those rotations to mid lane. Solo didn't even have a hero that could do that. So they emphasized so hard on shutting down no one that he couldn't even really get into the game at all. Having this Wisp Ursa mid lane, DK can't do anything, honestly. Like, he just gets run down. Lil dying here is also super unfortunate. I think the Weaver didn't really work out for them either. They didn't have a real support to really do anything. They had, they needed to, they had the Slaughter who's their only disable on top of the DK, but the other two supports just, the two supports just aren't really able to do anything versus the lineup of EG. And EG's draft, it looks like they were literally take the Lifestealer. Look at those heroes. Everything but the Wisp is incredibly good versus Lifestealer. Yeah, this was a great buyback from Zai. They know they need to get the momentum going really hard in the early game, and that's exactly what they did. Crush VP Spirits.
Solo playing Ancient Apparition, it's great to counter that Morphling, but they never really got to the point where that was actually needed because Sumail was such a beast on that Ursa.
Yep.
And then you got Universe with his Clockwork. He didn't need items. He was just right there with his team, keeping the momentum going, keeping the aggression going, and it seemed like Virtus.Pro maybe slightly too greedy with their draft even.
It's VP going in for what they always knew was going to work in the past, but EG could easily prepare for it. And Universe, I love you mentioned him, 7 minutes in, already starts his rotation. As a Clockwork, as a hero that's able to go out there and do something. Also his positioning in that fight around Roshan was perfect. Hook shot in, block him out, and then TV straight back out again. EG looks so much better today, better than they've looked this entire major. Their coordination's on point, their drafting's on point, and they seem to have a great game plan.
Their decision making was impeccable. They're Universe's plays, like you mentioned. He knew what his job was in this game. Just go in, split the fight up. If they isolate the Ursa, if they isolate the Lifestealer and the DK, Ursa can just rip them apart with the lead that he had. I
mean, we had so many questions coming into this game. One of which was, is EG going to be on this positive trend, this correlation towards victory, or whether it was going to be that Wings was a bit of a blip on the radar? And already finishing that game 19 minutes versus a Virtus.Pro. In fact, I'm not going to be revealing too much when I say that we had a discussion. We said if it is going to be quick, it's going to be the other way around. God said it as well, right? That was our expectations. If anyone was going to be having a dominant 90-minute game, it was Virtus.Pro, right, Sheev? That was the expectation.
Virtus.Pro has been looking really good up until this point, but they also looked fairly predictable, and I think that is where yesterday both teams had the day off. Both teams just went through the drafts, like, what are we going to do? And Evil Geniuses just know better what to expect from Virtus.Pro than the other way around. They have a more set plan that people are expecting to see from them, and they went exactly what EG thought they were going for, having that Lifestealer in the first two, and then Evil Geniuses having their draft completely around, just shutting that down. They were prepared. They were very much prepared.
And we are prepared to show you the scoreboarders because this is going to help you understand exactly what went right and wrong. Admittedly, there are some very scary numbers on one side rather than the other. And I mean, a word on the street is some of the other players from other teams were shouting, screaming, and hollering when they saw that Ursa pick for EG.
This is the mango strat, by the way. Lil doesn't want anybody to know what he actually did. So only mangoes in his inventory. He had a great game.
Classic.
No, overall, I think Virtus.Pro lost all their lanes. So it's really difficult for them to like really pinpoint one person, like this is where it went wrong, but no, everything lacked a little bit. And Sumail getting MVP is well-deserved.
In the short time we're talking downstairs, like I know Fox, you were bringing up, it's like this DK is getting nothing. Like how do you win an IO and Ursa lane like as a DK? And then you could see all the other resources of VP gravitate in towards this lane. That big failed gank that happened on mid, you got the Slardar as well as Lil rotating in on the Weaver, and then Lil ends up dying too, so your gank on that fails, and then there was another big missed Slardar crush in the bot lane. That would have really slowed down the momentum of the Ursa and potentially given you some breathing room. So we wouldn't have had such a quick game at that point, but still, everything was building up to that 30, 40-minute GG, and VP did the right thing. Like, they bailed. They bailed as quickly as they could. They don't want EG to feel any better about themselves than they already do. They knew this was eventually going to happen, that their predictable draft fails.
And this is what I want to ask, is it was a question that Odie brought up over on the caster desk. He was like, does this feel like a slightly premature GG? Gods didn't think so. Fog, you don't either. Like, just get it done, right, put a pin in it, and let's start focusing on game 2.
I think that the Ursa just went way too out of control. Like 9 kills on him. He got the Roshan. I think just EG's, the synergy that they showed in this game, the unison, was like perfect. They had Morphling split pushing top. They fight 4 heroes around the Rosh pit. Get the Rosh, Universe hooks in, just distracts them, they lose crit, doesn't matter, completely irrelevant. RTZ then TP's mid, takes the mid tower at the same time as the DK's taking bottom tower. These trades are not in favor at all for VP.
Well, I mean, a sub 20-minute game to start off our day here. It's kind of crazy. And someone who is absolutely not crazy is Purge. He's ready to go ahead and explain what went right for EG.
Hey guys, it was a pretty action-packed game. There was a ton of impact from the Ursa, especially in the lanes. If you look at the matchup here, Ursa versus Dragon Knight, Ursa versus any melee hero is a super good lane matchup for EG. The only lane that didn't look amazing is maybe Clockwork versus 3 heroes, but that's a total staple for Universe. So a little bit of advantage here. Fury swipes from Ursa lets you do more and more damage to enemy heroes. That buff stays on for 15 seconds. So every single time that he slaps Dragon Knight there, the next time he hits him, he's going to do an extra bit of damage, and sometimes that can get to huge ranges. Sometimes he'll even grab something like an invis and get a solo kill. This was a huge move here by Sumail to grab this. Something really important that he did there is that as soon as he breaks invis, he attacks first and then follows up with his spells and combos. Pretty huge. And that eventually got in the mid game once he got Blink Dagger and Mask of Madness. A fast gank to the top lane after their opponents just saw him on the bot lane. Sets up a very important starter kill and a relocate from IO coming to help out if needed. But the crucial thing about that IO teleport was that it allowed him to instantly, after he was seen TPing to the top lane, to get all the way back to the bot lane because Crit was scouting this out. So if you take a look at Zai here, relocates back. This is where Zai came from to go to the top lane in the first place. And because of this, not 15 seconds later, instantly Sumail's on the bot lane. The big overgrowth, the guarantee, the lifestealer kill. And they're just all over the map. The big crucial fight here where VP was finally trying to gain some ground, they kind of forced this one with the Slardar going from the high ground, but Universe came from the bot side to initiate, jumping on the back line here, and basically Ursa got to do whatever he wanted in this fight, just blowing people up. So it was a really good engagement and a really great team fight from EG, and just across the board, it was the Sumail show.
The Sumail show. That's certainly a nice way to summarize it, as his Ursa did go off in just a very short space of time. 9 kills and dominating that mid lane. Thanks to Purge for helping shed some light on exactly what went right. And now we have the great luxury of having a little bit of time before that second draft to outline what does need to change. Because I want a third game. I'm just saying that right now. I want this game to go all the way, and I'd like to at least have 30 minutes of a game, please.
I think even though the crowd is very much biased a little bit for Evil Geniuses.
What made you say that?
I don't know. You're talking about Shiva.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I
just
feel
a
like
tiny little bit.
There's very few places in the world where you can say 2 letters and have a whole theater start screaming. Like if you just go like EG and then they just 2 letters, guys. Just 2 letters.
I'm surprised you didn't go for the 3-letter chant.
Oh no, they did slip that one out.
That one never stops.
Yeah.
There you go.
What have you done, Toby?
I didn't even need to say the 3 magical letters.
They cheer for EG, mostly there's also a lot of Virtus.Pro fans in there. I think that all of these guys would love to see EG play more. So they're not there. If Virtus.Pro takes his next game, I think they're not going to be too worried. However, it's going to be a very difficult thing to do for Virtus.Pro because We talked about this before. This is the first game they lose, and we said before the series even started, it's all going to be about that second game. How are teams going to adjust? What did they learn from all the preparation? They spend a full day preparing for this matchup, and it's over in 19 minutes.
Yeah.
And now they have, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing that's just like, they banned out the Sven, they banned out the Alchemist. Alchemist ban, I can go get behind. The Sven, you know, you could understand why, because of like the amplified damage and everything that they wanted to go for, but in hindsight, they're probably like, we definitely needed to ban Ursa. Like Ursa versus Lifestealer is an incredible matchup. Like if he snowballs, the Lifestealer just gets absolutely destroyed. They already had the Treant Protector as well to enable that and just kind of follow him around in the jungle that we saw Crit have excellent positioning in.
I mean, the kind of the crazy concept, Shiva, is that VP had not conceded a single game.
Yeah.
And now it happens in what is one of the more convincing fashions. Before I do ask you any further questions, we have the beautiful opportunity to have the community ask us some questions. We're doing it throughout the major, and we've had some absolute great ones. This one is going to be coming in from Yuze. He says, have EG exceeded expectations for this major? Now, that's an interesting question, because it's a mixed bag, isn't it, Toby?
It kind of is. Like, I was expecting EG to at least make it to the semifinals, depending on how the grid played out, because that was a big thing for EG. But as far as exceeding expectations, I think they're finally living up to expectations.
Yeah, I'm seeing nods, Shiv.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they performed below expectations in the group stages. A little bit above, you know, it started to look okay when they were playing up against Wings, but this is the EG that people were expecting to see, and this is the EG that people were already expecting to see in the group stages as well, but now they're finally shining. And, you know, RTC said it in an interview, they are better against better teams. So
that's actually a really good one. I love that sign.
Nice hat.
Yeah, solid artwork as well.
Yeah. But I mean, I completely lost my train of thought. But RTC said in an interview they play better versus better teams, and I think Virtus.Pro they bring out the best in EG, and that is really great.